I'm so glad you're safe, little Ethan.
Okay.
You had me so worried.
Sorry.
Oh, what is that? It's so cute. I want to merchandise it. Ow!
Ugh, Disney, you're really gonna make me do this again? Again? My, how far you have fallen. So it's Christmas, and I'm thinking we should find a good movie for Christmas, one for the whole family. So we head on over to Disney Plus to check out what they have, and lo and behold, Strange World has finally dropped on Disney Plus. Seeing how it's the latest Disney animated movie, we thought, perfect, let's watch this. So we pressed play, and yeah. It was pretty disappointing. While I was watching Strange World, I kept thinking about how this movie was perfectly indicative of just how mediocre a lot of Disney animated movies have become. This movie hits a lot of tropes that we've seen in other Disney films before that I think people are tired of. And that's what this video is about. I'm going to explain to you why I think Strange World is not just a bad film, but it perfectly exemplifies everything that is wrong with current Disney animation. So buckle up, because this is about to get spicy. So the movie starts off with an old-timey montage giving you some backstory on the world that we're about to explore. In the opening sequence, we find out that the movie takes place in a town called Avalonia. This town is surrounded by tall mountains that no one seems to be able to get past. That's where our two main characters come in. Jaeger Clade and his son Searcher Clade have been going through mission after mission trying to get past these mountains. And this is where we encounter our first trope that we see in a lot of Disney movies lately, and that's the tortured father-son dynamic. You see, Searcher just loves plants. He just wants to be a farmer. But his father Jaeger wants him to be an explorer like himself, obviously leading to conflict between the two. This is not a bad story point, so to say, but it is something we've seen in a lot of Disney movies. It's basically the whole parent wants child to follow in parent's footsteps, but the child has their own dreams trope that we've seen in like so many Disney movies. Don't believe me? Take a look at Encanto, Mulan, The Lion King, Finding Nemo, The Little Mermaid, Hercules. I mean, I could go on. Disney has covered the parent-child dynamic in detail. So we're starting this movie again with another parent-child conflict story. So already I feel like the movie just started with a very generic beginning.
Searcher, we're explorers, not gardeners. Conquering those mountains is our legacy.
No, Dad, it's yours.
Enough!
But just because the story is familiar doesn't make it a bad movie. I was still willing to give this film a chance, despite finding the premise to be a bit generic. The prologue ends with Jaeger leaving Searcher to go find and search the mountains by himself. Searcher chooses not to go with him so that he can study these plants that he found that he thinks could be really helpful for Avalonia. This turns out to be true because the movie fast forwards to 25 years later, and all of Avalonia is now powered by these plants that Searcher found. Not only that, but we find that Searcher now has a family. He has a wife named Meridian and a son named Ethan. And what do you know, Searcher and Ethan don't always see eye to eye. So it is yet another broken father-son relationship. I'm starting to think Disney has something against dads. You see, Ethan wants to be an explorer like his grandfather Jaeger, while Searcher just wants him to be a farmer like him. So basically, Searcher is now in the same situation with his son that he was in with his father. Now I get why they're doing this. The film is trying to showcase how generational trauma can be passed down even by accident. For example, Searcher felt neglected by his father, so he's overbearing towards his own son to overcorrect his father's mistakes. And in that vein, it works. But we just had another Disney film in the very year that also dealt with generational trauma, which was Turning Red. It just goes back to the whole thing where I feel like Disney is just recycling story points at this point, and it's not new or groundbreaking to tackle these themes anymore, because it's already been done many times. But the movie really starts to take a turn for the worse when the president of Avalonia shows up to Searcher's house and tells him that the plants are dying, and it's up to him to fix it. Naturally, our protagonist accepts his hero's call and journeys into the center of the earth to try to find out what's wrong with these plants. Ethan, Meridian, and Callisto all end up tagging along, and that's how our gang ends up inside the strange world. This is where I thought the movie started to go off the rails a bit. Where the first act of the film might have been a bit cliched, once they get inside the strange world, It feels like things just start happening, and there's no real narrative momentum anymore. As soon as they enter the strange world, Searcher conveniently falls off the ship and gets separated from the rest of the pack. After the ship crash lands, Ethan immediately wants to go find his father. Ethan and the gang pointlessly debate over this for like 5 minutes before Ethan sneaks off and goes find his father anyway. Meanwhile, Searcher conveniently finds his estranged father after exploring the strange world for all of about 1 minute. Which leads me to my next problem with this film. There are no rules or basis for reality in this strange world. I can't even tell you how big it is. Searcher finds Jaeger pretty quickly, so we're supposed to assume maybe the strange world is pretty small, but if you reach the end of the movie, you know that's not true at all. Fantasy worlds are more fun when you believe they could actually exist in real life. Take Harry Potter, for example. That fantasy world is massive and expansive and totally weird and crazy, but it has very clear rules and limits for its magic to make that world more believable. There are no limits in this strange world, and there are no rules. Nothing even looks similar to our real world, so there is no basis of reality to even refer to. I take notes when I watch these movies so I remember what to tell you guys in these videos, and something I wrote down several times was that I felt like I was watching gobbledygook. I mean, I wouldn't even describe this strange world to be beautiful. It was just weird. Maybe this is up to personal taste, but I felt like the world was just getting increasingly bizarre just for the fun of it. Again, you can do weird and foreign well. Look at Avatar and the world of Pandora. That forest is super freaky, yet look at the word I just used to describe it. A forest. Even though it was a weird alien planet that Avatar takes place on, I could still tell you that they were running through a forest through a good bit of that movie because it was still at least based on some level of reality. Show me a screenshot of Strange World and I couldn't even describe to you what I'm seeing on screen. It's just gobbledygook. Therefore, I actually found this movie to be visually off-putting for most of the film. But, going back to the plot, for about 15 solid minutes, we just see Ethan going around the strange world looking for his father. Meanwhile, Jaeger and Searcher are catching up, and Searcher is quickly realizing that Jaeger has really never changed at all, despite being stuck here for 25 years. But of course, conveniently, the characters all bump into each other again, and quickly have to run away from some squid-like beasts. But of course, everyone is okay, and everyone gets to meet the new Jaeger. Ethan gets along pretty quickly with Jaeger since they both want to be explorers, which makes Searcher sad because he wanted his son to be more like him, not his father. Jaeger and Searcher quickly get into an argument over Ethan, making Ethan uncomfortable. And it was at this point in the film where it occurred to me that maybe this film is more for Disney adults than it is for kids. There's a 30-minute long stretch of this movie that is just a bunch of heart-to-heart sentimental conversations between adults, and I don't think this would be very interesting for a kid to watch. Yes, Disney has always covered more mature adult themes in their movies, but I feel like Strange World really took that concept and just ran it into the ground. This movie felt like it was more concerned with preaching about parenting than it was about actually making an entertaining movie for kids. I couldn't even recommend this movie to a parent with young kids because I don't think they would like it very much or even understand it. When you have a really fun, simple movie like Minions making almost $1 billion at the box office this year, I think that really shows you what parents deem appropriate for their kids nowadays. And I think Disney should maybe follow suit. Now, spoiler alert for the last act, because this is where things get even weirder. After following the plant's roots to the heart of the problem, the gang discovers what's actually wrong with their crops. And lo and behold, the big twist of the movie is that the entire world they've been exploring the whole time, the strange world, is actually the insides of a major beast that's like a huge island for some reason. And this turtle-like beast was actually just sick, which was hurting the plants. I kid you not, that is the twist of the movie. And we find out as the movie zooms out at the very end that Avalonia is just like this small secluded town on the back of this giant turtle in the middle of the ocean. Like, what? It's just so weird and comes out of nowhere. I don't know. I don't like the twist. I think it's bizarre and I don't think it was sort of set up, but it just comes so out of left field, and it really leaves more questions than it answers that I'm like, okay, whatever. So Searcher, Jaeger, Ethan, they all make up, they fix what's wrong with the plants, and then they go back up to the town, the end. Yes, it's a weak story. I think that's pretty obvious, but it's more than that. I think Disney should just go back to making animated movies that everyone can enjoy. And I think they should focus less on hidden messages in their films that they want the audience to take away from. I know this might be a controversial subject, but let me explain. I honestly think Strange World would have been a better film if they had tried to cover less. Strange World tried to be a film about environmentalism, generational trauma, father-son relationships, and it tried to be a fun adventure film for kids. It tried to be way too much, and in the end, it didn't really properly explain anything, or I feel like successfully actually carry the messages it was trying to. The end result was a messy, dull, cliched, tired movie that wasn't very successful. I know I was a bit harsh on this film, and it's okay if you like it. If you like it, please let me know in the comments why you do. But the reason I'm being so hard on Disney is because Disney has been the top dog in animation for literally a century. And I feel like Disney has just been kind of resting on its laurels and its brand name to try to market these movies, and not focusing enough recently on just making sure that the movies are good. They keep recycling a lot of the same storylines and plot points between their movies, and the scripts themselves are very, very weak. Like, that third act twist made no sense, and it really should have been like stricken through with red ink, whoever was going through that script and approving it, because it really needed a lot of work. To me, Strange World is just the latest Disney release that perfectly encapsulates everything that's wrong with the current Mouse House. And I hope you listening to me explain my reasons for that, you understand where I'm coming from. But I want to know what you think. This is an interactive channel where I want to see what you think, you see what I think, and then we all talk about it in the comments, so please let me know. Did you see Strange World? Did you like it? Did you hate it like I did? Well, I didn't hate it. I thought it was just mediocre. Please let me know all of this in the comments. If you're new here, I do a lot of videos where I break down different movies and releases. I've talked about Disney before. You should check out this video I made about the Pinocchio movie they just did. I did a whole review talking about why it's terrible. But as always, my name is Brittany. If you liked this video, please like it. It really helps this video find other people. Also, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.